Welcome back. It's been a little while since we've done a little show, but I'm Andrew Haines, co-owner of the NISL, and today I've got Nigel Orme with me. He is a new co-owner in Central Florida with the Crusaders. How's it going, Nigel?
Good, Andrew. How are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. I mean, we're a little. I think we're right around a quarter of the way through the season.
Yep.
And it feels like it just started. But man, the games are really going now. Teams are kind of getting in the full swing of things on the road, at home, and back and forth. So before we jump into the games, which have been a blast this season,
Yeah.
let's get to know you a little bit. You know, the fans. I mean, that's really what we want to do with our show, is try to get the fans to know more about our owners, our staff, our players, everybody involved. You know, it's like a big family, and dysfunctional family sometimes, but but we're a group. So walk
Yeah.
us through.
Yeah. Well, my background's kind of pretty international, actually. Originally coming from New Zealand, born and raised in New Zealand. Then as a teenager, came over to the States in Texas and kind of, did my high school, college years in Texas, and then up in Vermont. Kind of went back to New Zealand for a little while, and then kind of moved to England with my work, and spent the last 10 years, 12 years really, in England, and now back here in Florida. So I've had an opportunity to live around the world, but one of the things that's always kind of been fun for me is watching soccer. Of course, living in England, we call it football over there, which is always gets me confused now between soccer and football. But I've got two sons, Monty and Max, who are playing soccer over in England right now. And Monty's a goalie, and center back is the position for Max, and they're just soccer mad, right? Absolutely everything. Their whole life is soccer. From the U.S. teams to the European teams to the English teams, they absolutely love it. So I've really been part of, soccer my entire life, playing it as a kid myself. Now my kid's playing it. And then moving back to Florida, I actually kind of bumped into somebody that knew it, talked about, the National Indoor Soccer League, the NISL. And I kind of looked into it, and I looked at the Crusaders, Central Florida Crusaders. And I started watching some of the videos, and just go, this is, this is some really good stuff. This is some amazing games, amazing energy, amazing talent on the field. We call it the pitch in England. So, talent on the pitch. But the quality of play was fantastic. The speed of play was fantastic. The atmosphere was fantastic. So I was hooked. I was hooked very early on. So when there was an opportunity to kind of join the team as a minority owner of the Crusaders, I jumped on it, and my goodness, the first couple of games have been absolutely fantastic. And this last game against Tampa Bay Strikers, in overtime, anyway. So yeah, that's a little bit about my background and kind of where I've come from, and why the NISL is the future, I think, of soccer.
Yeah, no, I think it's these last couple of weeks of games have really shown, what this is all about, what the NISL is all about. I mean, you're talking about, on the men's side, we've had, I believe, 9 games. 5 out of 9 have gone to overtime.
Yeah.
We had a shootout on the women's side on Sunday. And so it's definitely an exciting game. There's the competition level in the NISL is anyone can win any game, really.
Yeah.
And you look at you see, like, Tampa struggled early on in those first few games, and even just a week or two prior, Central Florida kind of took it to them in Orlando, and then this past weekend, it was a shootout back and forth, and went to overtime, and Tampa's trying to get their first win of the season, and it was a heartbreaker. For Tampa, their last 2 losses were overtime losses.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. And I think the other dynamic behind that, is the men's and the women's team, to be able to go to a game and see this quality man's game and then this quality women's game back to back. And just like you said, they've been nail biters on both sides, both teams. that's just what, you're engrossed for the entire game. I think just kind of looking back to my, the soccer days, on the regular soccer pitch, it can be a very slow game. You can go the entire game and nobody scores. And then all of a sudden you come into the NISL and it's, scores of like 10 to 11 and 9 to 8 and things like this. And it's just nonstop action the whole time. And you never lose focus. You never get bored. You're just waiting for it. And if you're really rooting and pulling for your home team, it's fantastic. So yeah, I think that's the dynamic that I think a lot of people will kind of catch on to is again the speed and the intensity of the game and how that differs from what most people think about soccer.
Yeah, and I think it's a good mix for people who are soccer fans, and then also the non-soccer fans. I was more of I wasn't as into soccer, I guess, in my adult life, but indoor soccer for me kind of meshes almost like football, hockey, like a little bit of everything. I mean, it's very physical, high scoring, a lot of action, music playing.
Yeah.
It's nonstop action, and that's what we want. Smaller field.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well,
we couldn't ask for much more this season. I mean, it's been some great games so far. We're about 25% of the way through the season, but some great games for the fans.
Yeah, well, I think that's another important point there is because it's a smaller field or a smaller pitch, whatever you want to call it, is you're close to the action and there's no bad seats. I mean, even though it's a 10,000 seat arena, no matter where you sit, you are in the action. And even with some kind of it's kind of fun actually. So even with some kind of the safety barriers, if you will, sometimes that ball still keeps flying into the crowd, and you're always going to be on guard just in case to block one, like I got to do last week. So I think that's the dynamic too. Is on bigger soccer fields and so forth, you could be sitting, you may not be as involved in the game, but here you are in the game no matter where you're sitting, and from a fan perspective, that is just a lot of fun.
Yeah, you got to keep your head on a swivel. That's for sure. I mean, that ball is flying. Like, there is no chance I would want to sit in a goal and take shots from any of these players, men's or women's team. I mean, they are like rockets. Yeah, no way. No.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, definitely hats off to the goalies too, because I mean that's when you see the speed of these balls when they get kicked. And these goalies are just amazing. They stop so many of these rockets. I don't know how they do it. It's again such close proximity. You're not shooting from 50 yards away. They're much closer to the goal. So the goalies, the level of play and the level of expertise from a goalie perspective. And I guess again, with my son training at an academy development team in England, I've got a really good baseline understanding of the goalie dynamics and the goalie training. So I think watching the goalies is amazing, and yeah, I would not want to be standing in that goal with the speed of some of those balls.
What was like your first impression? Obviously you came on as a partner before you actually even physically been to a game.
Yep.
So like kind of what was that like when obviously you do your research. We talked for a while and you jump on board, and then you come to the first game. And I believe it was the second Crusaders home game. I think you were out of town the first game. So what was how did that compare to like your expectations, and what were your thoughts coming out there?
It grossly exceeded expectations, to be honest, Andrew. It was absolutely fantastic. I mean, again, just going into the stadium, it's a fantastic stadium. I've now been to games both here in Orlando and also at Tampa Bay. So phenomenal stadiums, phenomenal staff, and the whole team that's taking care of it. So from parking, all the way to walking in and being greeted, going through security, to getting to your seat, to all the staff and the interaction. It's incredibly professional. It's incredibly well organized. And then when you kind of come in and get into your seats, you've already got this fantastic music going, and you start getting the atmosphere. And the crowds aren't massive yet. Obviously, it's our first year, but there are some good crowds there, and that kind of the whole atmosphere begins to build towards the game. And then once the game started playing, and I was just wowed and blown away by the level of play, the level of expertise of these players. It was really, obviously some of them are kind of senior guys, not senior guys, that's the wrong word, but they've been playing for a few
there
years.
Are a few, a few veterans. We'll call them veterans.
Veterans, yeah, that's a much better word. But that shows in their play and kind of the strategy used, and how they work within the team. So it's not like a whole bunch of guys that don't know what they're doing. As far as like rookie players, sometimes can get a little bit lost. These guys are pros, and they really know what they're doing. So. And then throughout the game, the announcer was fantastic, and you've got the big screens up top with being able to watch the replays on the big screen. So yeah, it exceeded all my expectations. I was already kind of excited coming in. Again, it's first year of NISL, so I didn't know exactly what to expect until I got there. But then I was the second after that first game. I've got a pretty large, following on LinkedIn with my professional network of 30,000 followers. And I was already, putting messages out saying, guys, you got to come to these NISL games. If you want to invest in a fantastic NISL program or your local teams, there's amazing opportunity for investment as a minority owner. So, I was blown away by the entire, the entire franchise, if you will, from start to finish. And now I'm hooked, and now I'm trying to get all my friends and family to come. And I've got lots of friends and family in the UK, so that might be a bit expensive to bring them all over, but I wouldn't think it all come over and see it.
No, I mean it definitely it is so much fun, and I'll tell you what, Tom Traxler, head coach in Central Florida, he's put together a heck of a team. I mean, they have some players with some years and years of experience, and they got a good mix. They've got that. The all-star veterans, and then they have some rookies that are kind of learning the game. So it's worked out well. They came out real hot, and then that first game, they're playing Memphis. Memphis last year, the men's team was runner up. They lost in the championship. Memphis women's team won the league championship. And so their home opener is against one of the best teams, organizations from last year. And so, the men's team in Central Florida won in overtime. It was a heck of a game. And the Crusaders women lost that first one and lost to Tampa that next week on the women's side. But this past Sunday in Tampa, I was blown away. I'm gonna start with the women's game first.
Yeah.
The women's game, I mean, they were already down goalkeeper. So primary goalkeeper signed a pro deal in Costa Rica. Yeah. Great opportunity. Yeah. Hey, we definitely want to wish her well, and we want to see players continue to move on and up. So that hurts us a little bit. Our number one keeper. Then, we've had some injuries, we've had some other scheduling conflicts. And so this past Sunday, a field player was playing goalkeeper. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize that at first. Mm-hmm. And she goes down with an elbow injury, and they have to find another field player, on the spot. And I want to say they were down. Crusaders were down a couple goals, and I was like, oh, this could get ugly. Like, I was thinking like, okay, the score might get out of control. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, those girls on the Crusaders fought and fought and fought, and they battled like unbelievable. And taking that game to overtime, I was amazed. I was amazed.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show, I mean, you're never out of it in indoor soccer. And even losing a goalkeeper who was really not even a goalkeeper, a field player.
Yeah.
and then having another field player get in there and put gloves on, to battle back, and then the game goes to overtime.
Yeah.
It's hard not to score in overtime. It's 5v5, so one less player on each team, and it's a 5-minute overtime, and it's tied after that, so it goes to a shootout.
Yep.
How exciting is that? I don't even remember if we might have had one or two shootouts last year. I'll have to go back and look at the records, but that was an exciting finish.
Yeah.
And then for the Crusaders women to win after all that adversity that they faced with losing goalkeeper after goalkeeper, and like, at what point do you mentally be like, man, can we really do this? But they believed and fought that whole game. It says a lot about them and about Coach Traxler.
Yeah. I've had a chance to talk to Tom Traxler a couple of times, and really, really impressed with the guy. I mean, as a head coach, just a wealth of experience that he brings to the team. But the way he manages the team, the enthusiasm behind, and the morale behind everything that they're doing, and that they have both the men's and women's team have really united as teams, and are very supportive of each other. And just like you said, that goalie on the ladies team had her elbow injury, which was not good. And some teams you can see just kind of can get down. You got to put a replacement goalie in, and can fall apart. But the Crusaders didn't. That was what was really impressive. They held it together. They supported each other. They kept a very high level of play. Gave themselves the opportunity to go into overtime and then to go into the shootout and to win. So that's all you can ask from a sports team like this. A group of men and a group of women that really bond together. And I think that all comes back to the coach, and the coaching staff.
Yep.
You've got to have that kind of leadership on the field, on the pitch, along with the players, and the senior players, the veteran players, helping out the rookies, like you said. And he's impressive. He's really impressive of how he manages the team, and all the teams, from even the strikers with Martin Gramatica, from all the teams, the level of coaching within the NISL is world class.
Yeah, we are very fortunate to have some great people involved in the organization. It takes. We've got over 200 players throughout the league. All the coaches, all the support staff. So definitely very fortunate for everyone's efforts, because it is so much work, and it's what I envisioned when I got this thing started to what reality is right now is definitely a little different. We've had to change a lot of things. One of the things we recently changed was we outsourced our sponsorship sales.
Yep.
So I think that'll be a big help for the teams and the league. So we hired an agency out of North Jersey, New York City area. And they basically represent the NISL and all the member teams, and they're actively engaged in conversations with companies about partnership opportunities throughout the whole league. So I think that's going to be a game changer for us. That's one area that one big area we haven't really had the time to devote to is the business side of it. I think we've done a lot of great things with the NISL, but we realized that we're not able to do what we need to do, and we haven't been able to staff up, properly to proper levels. And so, outsourcing was one of the options that we looked at, and we ended up finding a great partner in that with NXT. And we're excited to have the crew there working with us. We're working on a few other partnerships as well. We're looking to outsource our ticket sales.
Yep.
That's probably one of the toughest things for me, is not having, great crowds out there, because it's such a great product. And so we want to really focus on, now we go out and let's get fans in the stands. And, we feel the product is there. We've really focused on that last season, and now this season we can see that that's continued to improve. So now it's time to get butts and seats so that they can enjoy this product. And there's nothing better for the players too, having a great crowd. So we're hoping to finalize a partnership with a ticketing company that's going to handle all our ticket sales for all the member teams. That's going to be a big help.
Yeah.
And then two other things we're looking to outsource to agencies are our public relations and our social media marketing. So
Yeah.
those are the areas that we're really trying to outsource. And having the league and kind of the way it's set up, we're able to really work together as teams in the off the field and make sure that we're doing everything we can to build the NISL, which is unique to a lot of other leagues out there. So we're excited about that stuff. So hopefully you'll start seeing some movement on those things soon. But I mean, it takes a lot of cash to operate, and we definitely appreciate Nigel coming on as a partner. We've got other opportunities throughout the league for people that can get involved in minority ownership and sponsorship. So definitely reach out. But Nigel, all right, you're obviously a Crusaders fan in the NISL. What are your other sports teams that you follow or root for? Do you have any in any other sports?
Yeah, from the UK side, Manchester City for the soccer team over there. Again, my sons are big supporters and fans of Manchester City. In the European League, Real Madrid is absolutely fantastic team. But then I've really enjoyed the last Olympics with the soccer teams with the US playing fantastic world class soccer with the US team. And then I'm also a big basketball fan, so. Obviously now living in near Orlando, it's the Orlando Magic, but I grew up in Houston, so it's the Houston Rockets. And then, of course, always love some football. And I probably shouldn't say it, but I actually support the Dallas Cowboys, depending on who you talk to about the Dallas Cowboys. But again, growing up in Texas, I always supported my Texas team. So yeah, bit of football, bit of basketball, but then obviously the soccer. And I just wanted to go back a little bit on one point you just made is the product that the NISL has created, has developed, has nurtured is fantastic. As I said, it's world class, and nobody kind of understands how hard it is to do what you've done and the rest of the team behind the scenes. It's so much work, so much effort, a lot of stress. But what you built now is fantastic. And just like you said, it's all about putting bums in the seats now. Really working on the marketing side, the ticketing side, which of course you guys are all doing, and some exciting outsourcing prospects that you're working on. I think there's a lot there, and getting the message out. And that's part of my goal now as a minority owner. And I own a number of my own companies, more on the aviation and aerospace side, but I do also own a marketing company. Now it's going to be looking at how my marketing company can support the NISL. And for anybody out there that's thinking about investing in the NISL and becoming a minority owner, this is the time to do it. This is the time to get in at the ground floor, because the product's there, and all the work you're doing, all the work that is being done around the NISL is all developing and creating these fantastic teams within this league. It's only going to grow. There's only one way, that's up. And I think that's again, message to my business network from an investment standpoint. Get in now, because the product is world class, and where we go from here can really go up.
Yeah, just keep building and building. But did I hear aviation? Do we have access to private jets now? Like, what's the deal here? Like, I need to renegotiate our deal here.
Part of the StratStep group, StratStep Aviation, and we do have access to private jets. So yeah, I'll give you a discount.
Yeah, good. Oh, discount. Okay. I'll give you a post-dated check.
Yeah.
No, that's big. So no, I appreciate that. We appreciate you, getting involved. And for me, historically, I would not normally have a bunch of partners involved in teams and things like that. Obviously, to do what we're doing, I don't have the capabilities to do it myself financially, or time or skill. And so, but outside of the cash, which is important, part of the component, what I've found is that is even more valuable is just the experience of, like, your background, Nigel, and all the other partners that we have. It's such a diverse group that it really helps. And we do a lot of these Zoom calls, as ownership groups, for each team, and it's where we share ideas. And I've been in the business over 20 years, but I've got some great ideas from those that's like, okay, that was a great idea. I didn't even think of it, or I've done it before, but I haven't thought of it right now. And so
Yeah.
it's just good to kind of have that diverse group. Uh, and what's really important is, people coming in seeing the vision that we kind of have, because um, if you look at it from an investment standpoint, I mean, you're not making any money anytime soon.
Yep.
It's a long term thing. We're building it up. And it's kind of like everyone involved. I mean, the players aren't making a ton of money right now. As we grow, everything continues to grow, and I think that's what's really exciting about where we're at with the NISL now. And I wish we were maybe a little bit further ahead with our partnerships with our outsourcing of sponsors, tickets, and things like that. But I decided to go that route at the end of the year, and it took longer than anticipated to put in place. We tried to staff up ourselves this off season, and we thought we'd do better, but it's just not enough. We realize that. So anybody out there that wants to get involved, help, volunteer, game day, anything, hey, we need all kinds of help. So we'd love to hear from you, and get to know some of our partners. If you see Nigel out at a game, definitely, we're all very approachable, and I think so.
Yeah.
And connect with Nigel on LinkedIn or other social, and look for him out of the game. Any last words, Nigel?
No, just again, thank you for all your efforts and all your hard work. What you've built, as I said, is something that's pretty special in my eyes. But it also presents a fantastic opportunity for myself, for everybody involved, for all potential other investors, minority owners out there. So it's an exciting time. It's an exciting league. It's a fantastic game. So yeah, I just want to see lots more people coming to the games, and some more investment coming from some other potential minority owners. So yeah, it's onwards and upwards, and I'm really excited about what we're doing and what's being built.
Well, thanks for joining me, Nigel, and we'll be back soon.
Fantastic. Good to talk to you, Andrew. Take care.